Yeah, this is Point Black, coming in hard and off the card, coming with the flow straight from the barrio and coming with the heat from the street, coming with the facts, the crack backs, and the boom bit to their lying ass lips. You know what I'm saying? Because this is what we must do at all times. You know what I'm saying? We come with them facts. We want to crack them backs. And like the General Sarah Sultan said, he said, we want to hear that, not just, see the facts, the crack backs. We want to actually hear it crack, you know what I'm saying? Because a lot of the facts that have been hidden, a lot of facts that have been suppressed, a lot of facts that have been politically, you know what I'm saying, driven to make black people believe, and the people of the world believe that black people is the worst people on planet Earth. But one of the questions that we must start to ask ourselves is this, and this goes out to people like Expedition Now and many of these discovery channels and discovery shows of saying that, black people and the people that is in Egypt or the people that was in Kemet and all this different stuff, you know what I'm saying, you want to say that they were white, you know what I'm saying, and try to change them to white, you know what I'm saying? So that means that white supremacy has really fucked up their brains in old ways, you know what I'm saying, because I don't see that in which their genetics or makeup has even shown. So while they're busy sitting up there talking about Kemet and different Egyptians and trying to paint different Egyptian queens and goddesses from one color to a next, the question would be, why in the world do these people want to be black people so bad? To the point where you will suppress, murder, kill, hide information, burn books, do all types of slavery shit that you can think of, garbage down to the last letter. But at the same time, when you look at even the biblical Bible and what the biblical Bible is talking about, matter of fact, all of the biblical Bible in which they are talking about took place in Africa, Kemet, Egypt, you know what I'm saying? Ethiopia, wherever, you know what I'm saying? It's all the same. Their whole entire Holy Bible is talking about Africa in itself. So if you're talking about white supremacy, why is it you're Christianically or whatever you follow, even talking about Islam and Jews and all the rest of the different religions, why are y'all so focused on and have been invading and occupying and even invading and bringing war and bloodshed and killing and murder and carnage to the African people for all these generations of time? You know what I'm saying? And then even in these times here in America, you trying to paint the statues from black people that's on the walls of Egypt. That's why you got the Arabs over there with drills drilling and shit, breaking up all the good artifacts and the good history of the black people, of the original people of the planet, breaking up a lot of the information and hiding a lot of shit and guarding what we call guarding, you know what I'm saying, such as the Ottoman Turks have been doing in Egypt for how long now, while they let every other European race or every criminal or crime, crackhead, knucklehead, dumb ass, twisted banana boat, you know what I'm saying, with that stupid ass fez on their head, you know what I'm saying, and making jokes about a monkey clapping and all that, and actually made the actual thing, and that's supposed to be the dumbass niggas, probably the Moors who follow them, that they're making fun of. But really, that monkey is really the Ottoman Turks, not the Moors, because the Moors are Africans, you know what I'm saying? And they don't have that in their DNA. But when you look at why these people are so bent on bringing us and painting the statues, and all trying to touch it in Egypt, you know what I'm saying? Trying to pray in Nefertiti, this African queen or that African queen, and then when you look at showing three different images, you know what I'm saying? But like the general said, why don't your images and your statues ever change? But you're so interested in changing the African image to your image. You know what I'm saying? So that means that you have been running behind black people damn near all their fucking life. But the question would be, you know what I'm saying, why you want to change us to look like you. You know what I'm saying? We don't try to change you to look like us. So therefore, when we look at the fact of the matter that you are trying to change everything about our culture and co-opt our culture into turning it into something else, but yet still you go around and call black people monkeys. So that means that you are trying to and have co-opted, even in your Holy Bible, because the whole Holy Bible is talking about Africa, you know what I'm saying, and the whole 9 yards and every sun worshiping and everything in your churches, and even got Freemasons and all kinds of things where there was sun worshiping and talking about Egypt, but you had in the minds of the people of the world here in the United States that it has nothing to do with that. It all started somewhere else, but yet still you want to confuse that. But the question would be, if why would you want to be us if you're calling us monkeys? So that means that you want to be a monkey too. Wait a minute. So that means that you want to be a monkey. Oh, wait a minute. Or is it the monkeys still trying to steal the human spot? Still trying to steal the human's spot. So without further delay and without further ado, we're going to let some people do some other talking besides us. You know what I'm saying? Because we want to make sure that we get a clear picture. So we're going to hit that. We're going to hit that. You know what I'm saying? We're going to subscribe to my man Evans Pro. You know what I'm saying? And get a personalized, because I like to keep up with people. You know what I'm saying? On that, as you can see, that's your notification. You know what I'm saying? And without further ado, on this matter of blacks ain't racism, let's look in.
Are you a racist?
You can't call me or any black person any place in the world a racist. We don't have the power to do to white people what white people have done to us. And even if we did, we don't have that low-down, dirty nature.
So do you believe there are any good white people?
If there are, I haven't met them. Where are they?
And racism is a group system of exploitation, discrimination, oppression, bias, where one group seeks to deny all members of another group their fair share of resources, opportunities, and privileges. You know why you can't be a racist? You don't own a damn thing white people need in order to live. White people need you for nothing, but you need them. Whose schools our kids go to? Theirs. Our money in whose banks? Theirs. Who's building the houses we need to rent and buy? Them. Who's shipping our stuff around the world that we need to order to live? Them. You follow me? They don't need us for shit. We need them for everything. We are as dependent on white people today as we were when slavery ended 157.
So I found this interesting video online where a black person, a renowned black person, Dr. Cloud Anderson, was saying that black people cannot be racist. Yes, this is mind-blowing, because if black people can be racist, the idea or the word reverse racism should never exist.
We cannot really be racist because racism is prejudice plus power. Nothing I say up here nor anywhere in the world will impact, stop fronting, will impact on any white folks in this audience, on your job, in politics, in economics, in housing, in the society. We don't have the power to do that, so we cannot be racist. You know what I'm saying?
I don't want you to let people keep telling you that black people can be racist. You cannot be racist. The word does not exist for you. Racism means group-based. Racism means a power relationship. A power relationship between two groups, where one group owns and controls so much that they can use their wealth and their power to deprive and hurt and injure another group. That's what racism is.
Now you notice how he said the structure of racism. Now, you can find that even in many groups in Africa that have done war with each other. You can find that in many ways. In Europe, there are people who have done war in their country against their own brother, such as the humans have done in Africa against their own brother. Now you go over to Guatemala, the Guatemalans don't like El Salvadorians. El Salvadorians might not like Guatemalans. You see what I'm saying? You skip over to Indonesia, you see the same thing. You skip over to or even probably even Ukraine, excuse me, Ukraine, Russia, you see the same thing. So we know for a fact that they have been busy across the planet Earth, because when you look at religion in itself, even with expedition now, look at expedition and notice when it gets to the relics of black people, he only go a certain distance. Even one time he went into, I forgot what part of the country that was. I don't know if it was Peru or deep in the mountains of Peru or somewhere. But he went there to see their most holy relic. Now, when it comes to showing their most holy relic in the expedition, now I call him an expedition clown, but so you can call him what you want. But he's an expedition clown. He's deep state and working for the Freemasons and the Zionists or whoever else. And his show used to be called, I don't know if it's still on, called Expedition Now. But at the same time, he's a clown. You know what I'm saying? Because when he got to Peru or up in the mountains or wherever this holy relic was, he told the people that we can't see it. Only he can go in and see it, but we can't see it. So while he talking on the mic trying to describe what he's seeing, he didn't describe it at all, because in more ways than one who is going to remember what he said. You know what I'm saying? But it seemed like the people were praising or had a holy relic of a short person or a short being, you know what I'm saying, which probably was the Twa best. You know what I'm saying? You could look that up with General Sarah Seti Patreon account and get your information on about the little short people, the Twa, the original people of planet Earth. You know what I'm saying? Black people. You know what I'm saying? But when he got to that point, he wouldn't show that. Same thing when he went into some parts of China where he was trying to show the monolithic structures that were over there that had been there long before the white Caucasian Cro-Magnon came in and started raping them, and the people in that area, you know what I'm saying, Genghis Khan and all the different shit that went on that caused them to have those eyes. But the original eyes of those people came from black-skinned, dark-skinned people, and that's how they got their little so-called Chinese eyes. You know what I'm saying? So we know for well that the eyes doesn't really match the color of skin per se. You know what I'm saying? So it had to be some form of graphitical understanding. You know what I'm saying? So when we look at that, we see the same thing in this matter. Now let's move on.
And no place can you find a black person on earth that can be a racist. Only thing you can get at best is a black reactionary. That means a black person who's reacting to white racism. If black folks...
Or, the fact of the matter, many of the racism and things you see in Africa that came out, much of it was influenced by outside intervention also. Many people came into Africa and brought all kinds of bullshit into Africa, like Islam, you know what I'm saying, and stuff like that. Because even the Islams, you know, when you look at their religion, it's too Romanistic. It's too Romanistic. It's the same thing as if I gave you Jesus Christ and so on. You know what I'm saying? Or some white person or somebody put a picture or something and you're praising that picture and that person, and they wrote a book of who you are. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing. You know what I mean? This is what came into Africa from all directions. You know what I'm saying? And many Africans, you know what I'm saying, and many Arabs and many different people have all been involved in the fact of even that. Even when you look at the war they had with I think it was the Butus and the Tutus or something like that. One black guy over there called in the one that he had in captivity, one of the Tutus, I guess. I forgot how it went, but which group it was. He up there had the people in captivity, the same black people, black like him, you know what I'm saying, black as his slave, just like his ass, and he up there calling them dogs. He's you're a dog and you're this and you're that, and treating the people like slaves and enslaving them, same as we see going on to Africa right now, along with the Arabs over there still doing slavery shit in Africa that needs to be abolished in all ways, and many people need to keep that on the forefront until we can go and send the right mission to see the truth and show it. Even Pharaoh even showed where the Chinese was over there putting, a cardboard on top of a black woman's head, and then, you know what I'm saying, sitting up there, they towing it in, see the light, and he put a Chinese person was over there in Africa, while the African dudes are just standing around looking and laughing, they put a piece of cardboard or something on top of the woman's head and then hit her in the head with a 2x4. You know what I'm saying? Another picture where the Arab guy had the black woman hanging from the roof, whipping her, and even had his little kids whipping her. You know, all types of negative shit that was brought into Africa is what you have to understand. So let's move on.
Could have been racist. They'd have been racist 400 years ago. They would have stopped people from depriving and hurting and castrating and lynching and exploiting them 400 years ago. That's why if you go back through history, you cannot find one single solitary instance any place in history on this earth where black folk have had enough power and wealth to come together to do injury to another group and take something from them. In the United States, you've never seen any blacks come together as an organization, as a group, to hurt any other group. Blacks have never done anything to Jews or to whites or anybody else, Asians or Hispanics, as a group. We can't practice racism. We don't even have a community to practice racism. But on the other hand, I can go through history books and I can show you mountains, thousands, maybe millions of instances where everybody else have done things mean to us, to deprive and hurt us, by social customs, by extra legal and legal means, by laws to do in black folk.
Gotta pay the bills.
A CRM shouldn't weigh your budget down. It should lift your teams up. A CRM shouldn't
Can't be married.
By laws to do in black folk. You can't be a racist unless you got power and wealth for your group to be able to hurt other people and take and do them in, and we don't have it. So all we are reactions to white racism.
But we must look at the fact that we don't teach hatred. Everywhere we go as black people, we face hatred. Look at it. Look at it. Angel food cake, white people say, is white. Devil's food cake, you say, is black. You wear white to weddings and black to funerals. Black ball, black male. You give us a blonde-haired, blue-eyed, pale-skinned, buttermilk complexion Jesus in contradiction to the black Jesus in the Bible. Our own babies, according to behavioral scientists, our baby girls, when confronted with choosing between a black doll and a white doll, there's been so much damage done, they choose the white doll and say the black doll is ugly. So racism is everywhere and it's institutionalized.
The whole problem goes back to 1619. In 1619, there was no such thing. Y'all be clear on this. There was no such thing, basically, as racism. Racism didn't exist before black slavery started. You had conflicts between ethnic groups. You had conflicts between religious groups. And you had cultural disagreements. But you never had racism until black enslavement started. Racism is a word that means race. It means group.
You made the statement that black people can't be racist. First of all, do you believe that?
Yeah. Black people cannot be racist. Racism is an institution. It's not a feeling. It's not a word. So black people cannot be racist because there's nothing that black people can do that will put white people on a lower level than them. Oh. And that's what racism is. Racism is a system that's going to disenfranchise you. It's going to take away opportunities from you. Black people cannot do that to white people in this country. All over I'm not even going to say in this country, all over the world, that's not going to be a thing.
If a black person went outside and saw a white person there and called him a cracker, would that make him racist?
No. Cracker is not dehumanizing. There is not one word that a black person can call a white person that's dehumanizing.
He thinks that a black person can be racist. A black person cannot be a racist. Racism is a power relationship between groups of people. That's all it is. It means that one group of people have control of so much wealth and power and resource that it can deprive, hurt, and injure, and exploit another group to benefit itself. Never in the history of this earth have black folk ever controlled that much resources and where they can have gone out of their way to exploit, injure, and do something to whiteness. So therefore, racism only started in the 16th century when you began to commercialize slavery against blacks. That's when racism started. There was no such thing as racism before that.
Can black folks be racist? No. And the reason black people cannot be racist, is because racism is about privileges
and power.
Yep. You ain't got no privileges and you control nothing. No. In order to be racist, you have to control the institution.
That's right.
And the resources.
That's
you
right.
have to be able to grant concessions and take them back.
That's right.
Do you control the economy?
Nope.
Do you control any major industry?
Mm-mm.
Do you control the criminal justice system? Black people can be prejudiced, but you cannot be racist.
And
in order to be racist, you got to have power and privilege.
Yep.
One of the most annoying discussions that I see take place is the argument about whether black people can be racist or not. And before I get into the Google definition that most people are using in order to justify why this is even debatable, I gotta ask, to the people that raised this question in the first place and say yes, that they can be racist, who are you protecting? What people have been so harmed by black racism that you need to stand in their defense? Is there a people that have been colonized by Africans and brought to a new world that they didn't want to go to and forced to build an African empire? Is there some people in Asia or Europe with an African last name and speak an African tongue that have been robbed of their history? After World War II, a doctor named Gregory Stanton wrote a thesis on the 10 stages of genocide. Most of these stages America has already gone through, but the stage is what speaks to people asking whether or not black people can be racist. It's the stage where the perpetrator decides to deny the history that they've done to people and blame the victims instead. Google defines racism as prejudice, discrimination, or antagonism by an individual, community, or institution against a person or people on the basis of their membership to a particular racial or ethnic group, typically one that is a minority. A lot of y'all skip over the prejudice and discrimination and go to antagonism by an individual and then skip to against a person. But what you fail to read is the part that says on the basis of their membership in a particular racial or ethnic group. We have never been prejudiced, antagonized, or discriminated anyone just on the basis of their membership to a racial category we did not create. Some of us may be apprehensive or defensive based on our treatment by other racial groups, because we're not going to act like the past 400 years didn't happen. But some of y'all think retaliation against the system is racism towards an individual, and that's really just showing your guilt.
Actually, black people do not have the structural power in the United States to be racist. So I may be a little late, but the video just came to my attention, and I went in the comments, and it seemed like a lot of people are really confused, irate a little bit about the fact that black people do not have the structural power in the United States to be racist. So for me, I thought this was just a very simple statement. I thought it was something that was commonly understood, that racism is systemic. It is more than black people not liking you. It is more than black people not wanting to be around you. Racism is a system that affects people's ability to find housing, to get jobs, to live in desirable neighborhoods. It affects how long they live. You've seen the rates of murders against black people by police and other systems. It affects every single thing. Look up weathering, okay? So black people, we don't have the power to inflict those systems on white people in the United States. That just is what it is. You go have to take that to the altar. Also, this is not a new statement. I noticed in the video that other people kind of understood what I was trying to say. Lizzo has a video on TikTok about how racism is a system. Exactly what I'm trying to say.
Black people know they're not American, but they will fight like hell to protect that identity because they don't want to be identified with who they really are, and that's being African. We hate our Africanity. That's exactly why when I created the Unapologetically African movement, you see how quickly it morphed into Unapologetically Black. I never said unapologetically black. I said unapologetically African. But even within the Black consciousness community, we are still anti-African because deep down within our subconscious, we were all conditioned by the same superstructure that made us feel that Africa wasn't anything worth claiming. So the blackness is a step away from whiteness, Envy,
right?
But it's still 10 steps away from your Africanity.
But we're raised like that, you know. As a kid, I'm not gonna say my parents, but you always know when you get out the hood, you're doing well. When you live with the white folks, you're doing well.
Exactly.
When you have a lawyer and your lawyer's white, you're doing well. When you have a white accountant, you're doing well. That's
so your standard of excellence is outside of your community.
Absolutely.
And we're the only people who have a standard of excellence, an ideal to achieve that was created by our oppressor.
I'm Sister Phelps. And I'm Sister Melton. And we're missionaries for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And we want to invite you to come to church.
Follow that.
By our oppressor.
Because if they are saying black people are not racist, then I believe we also need to go back to the dictionary. We've seen white people coming forward and explaining and complaining as well that black people are racist towards them. We've seen this in South Africa, not far away, just here in South Africa. White people are saying black people are racist, this and that. Yeah, I believe that racism can take both sides. And I believe one thing, I'm just here to speak the truth. And I believe another thing, in as much as white people have caused a lot of racism around the world, not only to Africans, but around the world, I also attest that racism can go both ways. Racism is favoring yourself, putting yourself first over another person. That is basically it. That's basically racism. But now the racism in USA, where I understand this, is because when he's saying black people cannot be racist, he's discussing this with the contextual meaning, not the denotative meaning. Contextual meaning can be different from the meaning that we are used to. This person, while he's saying this, he's speaking that white people cannot, black people cannot be racist because of the context of racism in the United States of America. Many scholars, many thinkers of African American descent have come forward, have explained racism, its occurrences. And remember, slavery caused racism. Racism did not cause slavery. You understand? After the white man found that he was very, very greedy and he had a huge thirst for money, colonization, not before colonization, slavery came first before colonization. Now, he sought a way he could pay more money, you understand? Now, humans in Africa were thought to be, we are not commodities. We were thought to be commodities back then. They would come here and buy us for $2 or $3. They would put us on those shipping containers, export us all the way to the Americas and the South America. In these places, what these people could do is that they could sit down and do a gambling. Not really a gambling, you understand? An auction, yeah. The word is auction. They would auction Africans. They would auction Africans to the highest bidder. The standard price was $350 for a single African slave. You understand? Because it was the Industrial Revolution. People were really purchasing black people. Because black person was unique. And because we had a dark skin, they thought we were strong. They thought we were resistant to diseases. They thought we would, like Charles Darwin says, the organism that survives is not the organism that is strong. It's the organism that is able to adapt. Now they saw that this person can be able to adapt to this environment. And now, this is one of the reasons they were paying this amount for a human. Back then, $350 was not like the $350 we have today. But still, you cannot put value on human life. You can never do that. And when the brother Khalid Muhammad and Dr. Cloud Anderson are saying black people cannot be bought, black people are not racist, I understand. Black people did not enslave African Americans. African Americans were enslaved by the white people. We have the evidence of this. The white people are not only bad, to the Africans. Remember, America was a single country, was a country that was not divided. Single is what I mean by that. One country. We didn't have Canada, USA, Mexico. It was one large forest, and we had these indigenous Americans, the Navajo, the Cherokees. We still have plenty of them. The Americans came and unalived them. Yes, they unalived them because they thought they were God sent, and so they had to unalive them. So if black people are not racist, I also think indigenous African Americans are not racist or cannot be racist. You understand? By saying this, we are giving full meaning to the context of black people are not racist. You understand? Racism and slavery has never taken place between black people, between black people owning white people. No, maybe in the modern times, but I've still not heard of it. You know, one of the things that God promised is that people who are not listening to Him will pass through hard suffering. Some of the sufferings that black people have faced, I believe, are sufferings that have been prophesied in the Bible. You know, I'm not so sure of this, but some of these Israelites became black people. That is what we are told outside here. Some of them became black people, and because of disobedience, they were put into slavery. So anybody who places another person into the point of slavery is a person who thinks they are superior than them. And this thought is produced by the love of money. After they have the love of money, they find a reason to conquer their consciousness. They have to conquer that consciousness. Consciousness is a firewall that protects from such kind of thoughts. It's a self-firewall for our own self-thoughts. We cannot always be acting on our thoughts. We have people who have obsessive compulsive disorder. If people were to let their thoughts work, there would be chaos, there would be lawlessness. That is what would happen. And the white person, who was the colonialist and who was the imperialist and who was the slave master, he made lawlessness become a law by enslaving people, enslaving Africans, and unaliving the original inhabitants of the USA. That is how I understand this video. And maybe you might have your own understanding. No hesitation. I'd love you to share your thoughts on the comment section so that we can reach a common ground and have a common understanding. Give your thoughts on the comment section. I'm waiting to listen.
Now, from what we've seen and we understand the whole thing, the African brother explained it all in itself. We have to understand that this has been going on a long time. It didn't just start here in the United States. You know what I'm saying? Slavery started way back in Africa, you know what I'm saying, Ethiopia, all the way up to the Caucasus Mountains. You know what I'm saying? That the Europeans or the Cro-Magnons came out down into the mountains with this nonsense, you know what I'm saying, and has been running this kind of nonsense ever since, you know what I'm saying, and all they sit up there and do is breed and breed and breed, and, you know what I'm saying, raping the women, doing all kinds of crazy shit to the young boys and fucking each other in the ass, you know what I'm saying, doing a lot of crazy shit. So they were not a straight race that came out on a straight level. We know for well that their genetics have shown that they are warmongers. You know what I'm saying? They are, you know what I'm saying, bloody murders in many, many ways. You know what I'm saying? And this has affected the African people even over time here in the United States. You know what I'm saying? To where we must now change this outlook. And the white people that have this superiority complex bullshit that they are running must now come past a lot of that bullshit in their mind, because you know full well, you know what I'm saying, they'll do it to you. Right about now, even to this day, you see the effects of that even in itself. You know what I'm saying? they will do it to you. Don't think for 1 minute that they would not. They have done it to them. You know what I'm saying? What do you think many of the inquisitions that were going on in Europe, you know what I'm saying, years ago, you see many people hanging from a roundabout stake with a bent at the top, and then when you look, it's about 5 or 10, 20 people going around in a circle, all hung in line. Many of those were the indigenous African people that were in the area that had even wrote books, that had even did this and that, and many of them were Europeans as well, that had been, challenging the church and the even having a religion, saying or some kind of worship or praise or whatever outside of the king and the queen and all of what was going on in the country at the time. And like you said, it became like a cultural differences, but people were murdered and hung, and even many of them were probably even enslaved and driven into pure poverty. You know what I'm saying? That's why you still, like when you see the story with Robin Hood and all these different stories, rob from the rich and give to the poor. A lot of that was based on what the Europeans were doing to their own people, saying much less, and then even coming into Africa and doing the same thing and corrupting many of the leadership that was in Africa that went right along with a lot of the bullshit. Even today, it's the same shit, and we must crush this type of mentality of this white supremacy shit all across the planet Earth. Because while you're busy sitting up there saying we don't have the power to do this to them and that, even if we did, we don't want to do that bullshit. Who the fuck? What? Who the fuck told them that? You know what I'm saying? And if any Africans is in Africa doing it to African people, and blackers is a space just like they black like each other and doing this to their own people, or even allowing the Arab to still be in Africa enslaving Africans, is shame on our African brothers and sisters over there, because it does not show any, say warriorship based on freeing your people, even when it came to the covert mines and shit like that and all that shit that was going on that they were showing us on the internet. We need to see, more revolutionary brothers standing up for Africa as a whole, you know what I'm saying? Because we need to what we call sweep them clean, you know what I mean? We have to do that to Africa again and again and again, because these beasts is bent on that. Even when you look at the military might that they have advanced to and now using in Africa, you know what I'm saying, is weapons of mass destruction. So they have even grown even more because black people have ceased to understand the actual structure in which they live and who is controlling their minds as to what they think as they're living. So we have to start to look at that, and white people have to start to understand we are not your enemy, and we never was. Because anytime we came in contact with you or even in your land, it was either to crush something that was wrong, then rebuild it and make it, prosperous, free, and gloriful to the European. We even built libraries, but then you had many that stayed there, like the Moors, too long, talking about their gods and all kinds of stuff like that, and breeding up all the white women and carrying on and probably looking silly, you know what I mean, to where they were driven out by their own children, probably. You know what I'm saying? And they end up going out, but they will always seem to have this betrayal nature about them, because that's the same one that helped Mussolini. You know what I'm saying? It was the traitor ass Moors, you know what I'm saying, that helped Mussolini when they went and into Ethiopia, killing the Ethiopians with machine guns and all kinds of new tech weapons at that time. You know what I'm saying? So we have to look at that. You know what I mean? They did that, and they did even probably help them, when it came to even, the Ottoman going in there and taking over Africa itself, Egypt and in that plateau area. You know what I'm saying? Many corruptions that have caused in the back doors of many things that we have not seen, you know what I'm saying, or know of. You know what I'm saying? But we do know that African people and white people need to understand here in the United States that black people never intended to enslave anyone, never intended to enslave you, never. All we ever wanted to do as our people was share the tranquility of the planet Earth across the earth and sharing everything. But as you see, the white people need to ask themselves this question: Why is it that they rush into Africa and you get all these resources of monolithic structures and even the cube and many other things in there that they're hiding from you and not sharing it with you? Same as I spoke about with the Germans and the Diamond District when they went into Africa and enslaved the Africans and made them pick up all the diamonds and literally starved the people to death and still digging in their asshole thinking they're hiding diamonds up the butt. You know what I'm saying? And they're still there today in that spot, controlling that spot. You know what I'm saying? We need to take that shit away from them and drive them out whether they're diamonds there or not. You know what I'm saying? The second thing is, what I'm saying, when you look at that whole structure of the fact of them coming into Africa and doing this and doing that, they're doing the same thing in Egypt plateau. You know what I'm saying? But they ain't sharing none of that with you. None of that. Only thing you need to do is go to Smithsonian or to the museum and look through the glass and go, oh, wow. And in their mind, while they're on television with Expedition Now and the Egyptologists trying to make you believe that what you see at that museum is actually a white person or Arab looking, mulatto looking, you know what I'm saying, so-called fake skin of darkness, but actually a graph, and he's not African. But the picture that you're seeing in the museum of that mass and those people are Africans, and this is what they're trying to change. So what is your query to the fact that believing that Africans' only sole belief was to enslave everybody else and be the dominant race, to the point where you continuously telling these people a whole bunch of lies that means no factor even when it came to the pandemic and many other things, and then you gave them for years and years flush down and kill and murder and castrate and kill and do everything you possibly can to drive your religion and your other shit home. And then later in the 1930s you rewrote again, and then you try to say that Israel have a right to invade that area in Africa, you know what I'm saying, Ethiopia, you know what I'm saying, Kemet and all that, you know what I'm saying, and put themselves in the West Bank, you know what I'm saying, of Egypt. You know what I'm saying? And then try to change about talk about the Middle East and their holy land. When you know for where you was garbage and thought that people never knew what truly took place, how you got your invaded ass up in there. You know what I'm saying? So even when it come with Hitler and what he did to them and all this and that, and then they wanted to create a homeland for them, and then you want to go and rewrite a Bible and flush it down the minds of the people through generation in time to believe that you have a holy right to be there. What the holy right? The holy hell that you bring in there with your all types of devil worship and demon shit. You know what I'm saying? You have not brought nothing good into Africa and you don't belong there. And by your presence being there, it goes to show the wrong that has been allowed to even fester in Africa itself. So this is point blank saying there is no black person that can truly be racist because that is not in our nature. You know what I'm saying? Even if we had the power to do so, that is not something that we would want to do. You know what I'm saying? We're the type of people that would want to get to know you, get to this, get to that. But by you bringing so much hell and harem into Africa, you know what I'm saying? And even many years ago, coming into Africa, into people's territories, you know what I'm saying, with guns and bombs and all kinds of shit, just marching in there and thinking people just going to lay down and let you walk over them because you think that you have some kind of superiority complex that you got from probably back in the cave sucking on a monkey dick. You know what I'm saying? You think that you have the right to go across the planet Earth. And then even when you see the racist shit that they see here in this country, and then, you know what I'm saying, you see it's mostly, like you see a black person at 7-Eleven, and it's mostly white people there, you know what I'm saying? Because that don't mean that black people don't do dumb shit today. They do dumb shit today, just like white crackers been doing dumb shit all their lives, as well as niggas can be accused of the same. But when you see them in the store and they, you know, white person is doing some racist shit, you know what I'm saying, and he barking out at them and he's seeing it because they're doing it in a little sneaky ass way, you know what I'm saying, it's that he's reacting to the bullshit that he feels is happening. Now some people take advantage of that. Some black people take advantage of that, and that's not something that we should be doing at all. You know what I'm saying? Many times you see many racist things go on is the fact that they feel they have the upper hand and you don't. In other words, they got the handle, you got the blade in more ways than one. But black people can rise above all of that, and so can the Protestant and many poor whites that live in this country of many different religions and hope. You know what I'm saying? We must now start to forge an alliance that will wash away many of this and bring tranquility to all. Because I'm sure there's a lot of white people that would love to get some get back, you know. based on the fact of getting their fair share, you know what I'm saying? But see, this is what African people would have done. This is what would have happened in Africa. Arab people would have been welcomed into Africa to learn, to experiment, to know things, to see things, to the nature, the code, everything would have been, you know what I'm saying, put forward that there was no way of denying our neighbors or people or India. But you, instead of coming in there with that, you comes into Africa for many years, even coming out of the south with the Arabs and many different groups and coming, and all y'all did was come to kill, kill, destroy, and build. That's the way you should see it. Kill, destroy. Well, actually came into, well, if you say destroy, you're going to be killing. You know what I'm saying? But you know what I'm saying? You could even say destroy, kill, and build. You know what I'm saying? Either way. You know what I mean? But this is something that we have to understand. We're not here to be sitting here to try to take over anything. Don't let the demon Democrats make you believe that that was our intention, that we want to take over and get our fair share so we can do the same shit to you. So this is Point Black saying, stay right, stay tight, and we're going to stay in this motherfucking fight. One.